it's like I know an
that you played
i7. I'm
on.
gonna get an i7. Yeah.
Well,
So,
no, I
like,
mean,
what are you
what
asking?
it? I'm asking. You've played on a computer with a Ryzen 5 3600, and what's the
Yes.
other computer you played on? Like, what was CPU in that one? You said you had like a higher T CPU or a computer. I mean.
I mean, I don't right now. I said I have access to one.
Oh, okay, all right.
When I get it, yeah.
So
Okay, so you don't have access to one. You're going to get a better one, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes. That's
Okay, all right. So again, my point is still valid. Is you don't have like experience to a better CPU. When you get your new computer,
you have made
when you get your new
so I just know how this works. Like,
okay, when you get your new computer, right, with a better CPU, I assume I don't know what i7 you're getting. You might get like, I guess it depends what kind of i7 you're getting, but when you get your new computer, put the 1660 in it, right? Fucking build it like normally. Put the 1660 in it, and then just like check out if there's any like relevant, like if there's any like relative difference. If you see like any like smoothness or stuttering or anything like that.
I mean,
so just like a cool
depends on
social
the
experiment.
VRAM
But
when we go down to it, if we're being honest.
Oh, man, you
think that, but again, like if you want to try this out, put the same GPU in there, and you'll be insanely surprised on how like a much better CPU will make everything like much smoother. It might not increase your your frame count by that much, but everything will be more responsive, smoother. It'll be a nicer feeling computer.
This kind of was what I was going to ask you. And you kind of just answered my question already. It doesn't look like you're using frame count as a valuable metric on what you're looking for when it comes.
No, it's not. It's like a bullshit metric.
Okay, then you don't understand what game. Like, okay, that's just that.
Wait. Do you think like if I was playing a game? Right? No, it's not. It has nothing to do with the fucking smoothness. That's just like an approximation. It's like an approximate value of like to give an idea of how smooth it is, but it has nothing to do with how smooth the game is.
Do you know
you could have a game
FPS in games? Do you know why we do that?
There's like a few reasons, like
from the GPU and heat everything up. That's why we cap it, because
I didn't hear what you said.
We cap frames in games because we don't want to pull infinite resources from the GPU, because the faster the game can run, the more it is reflected of the more resources you have on the system, right? That's why you cap frames. So the more,
but nobody ever caps frames though.
Likely means the more frames you're going to get, because there's individual instances. Loading assets is going to be more dependent on SSDs versus hard drives, and RAM is going to depend on caching and uncaching. If you have really slow RAM, caching is going to be slower. But generally speaking, right, the more powerful your computer, the better your frames, right? And it seems like you
saying frame count just shows that you don't know anything about frame time. No, it isn't. That has nothing to do with frame times. Which frame time is the only metric that matters.
Dude, can you just let me finish what I'm saying before you just say nonsense?
I mean, you're the one. Okay, see, now you're just ad homing, right? So again, you're the one saying nonsense. I'm calling out for your bullshit because now that you said, "Oh, you're saying nonsense,"
bitch. I'm ad.
I don't care, baboon. Okay, go booga and your fucking jungle monkey, whatever the fuck. All right. So anyway,
fucking retard.
Wah, cry some more because I make fun of your friend. Wah. I'm a big baby on the internet. I can't take someone talk shit about me. All right. Anyway, so again, fucking frame. Oh, why he's still crying? Oh, big baby bitch is still crying. So again, like frame rate is an approximate value given by frame times. You know that, right?
That's not true.
Okay, then you're just retarded. My bad. I didn't know I was talking to someone who didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Approximation of frame.
How does the computer calculate the frame rate?
Because there's a draw call, dumbass.
Yeah, what is the draw call?
You're so stupid. You're so stupid.
It's called frame time, okay? Look it up, educate yourself, because you're just objectively wrong on this.
By the game. The game tells the GPU, hey, this is my new frame. And then you want to know what the GPU says? Cool, we'll draw it. And you want to know what the FPS is? How long it took since that frame call?
Yeah, you know what that's called? That's called a frame time. And it gets the frame rate from the frame time. But the frame time is not like a thing. Like your fucking GPU isn't actually outputting fucking if it shows 240 frames a second, it's not actually 240 frames a second. It's an approximate amount of how many frames it would output at that exact instance if the frame time is this value. But you don't know that because you're fucking stupid. You're a fucking retard. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But that's all good. But again, frame time is the value that gives you your latency, right? So frame time is hey, like frame. I'm gonna like the frame time is like, hey, every 0.12 seconds, I'm gonna give you a frame, and then your computer calculates, okay, 0.12 times 60 or whatever, like however many milliseconds it is like this is the amount of frames it would generate if it ran consistently at this frame time. That's how it gets you that number. So again, if you have a shitty CPU that can't keep up with the games and like the calculations of the physics and whatever, and like it gets like however the game basically like overloads CPU, be it like player count or like whatever it is, like it's gonna like stutter, and that's gonna give those like 99% spikes on the frame time because on the frame rate, because the frame time keeps going up and down and shifting a lot because again the CPU can't handle that load. So it's gonna like basically jump up and down. So yeah, you might get like high frame times because it might eventually like go back to like 0.12 and then spike up to 0.24 and then back down. And your average frame rate might be like 240, but your like 99% lows are gonna be like 100 or like 90 or like even like 30 or whatever, like frames per second, and that's like a shit experience. Where again, if you had a higher tier CPU and like a lower GPU, like yeah, you're gonna get like less frames per second, but it's gonna be more consistent. Your frame times will be consistently lower, and it'll feel smoother and less consistent. It'll have like less spikes like throughout your game, so you won't have that like laggy, jittery feel. And that's just science. Like that's just based off of like Gamers Nexus. Unless you think Gamers Nexus is a retard.
Average FPS and the 99% down with the 120 is a terrible experience.
Huh?
Did you just say you said 244 FPS average with 120, 90% is bad, right? 90% lows is bad.
I would rather, yeah, if I had like 248 frames per second, like average, and my 99% lows were like 30 frames a second, that would be like a terrible experience.
Yeah, okay. I was just clarifying okay. See, honestly, I don't even know where to start with what you're saying because there's so much misinformation with what your
Okay, well, do you think Gamers Nexus is completely wrong about what he says?
Gamers Nexus.
Oh, never mind. You don't. Okay.
What the fuck is that?
Do you watch any like reviewing like review videos or go to any review websites like Tom's Hardware?
This isn't even his own retarded opinion. This is someone else's retarded opinion that Homeboy just wants to spout.
Wait. I'm sorry. What's your name? Fucking Ghost of DB Cooper. How many GPUs have you tested throughout your like years of like existence?
Fuck you.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there it is. All right. Okay. So obviously, I'm not going to trust your opinion. I'm not going to trust Middoll's opinion. I'm not going to trust anyone's opinion.
Your opinion
because that's fine. You don't have to. Because I am sourcing a reputable person on the internet. You can check Gamers Nexus. You can check Tom's Hardware. If you don't even know what that forum is, it's one of like the most like popular forums to like check like reviews and stuff like that. But you probably never heard of it because you're fucking so disengageed with this shit.
Yeah, you're retarded.
Yeah, exactly. So again, unless you disagree with like the millions of people like that watch and like consume these reviews and trust these reviews or whatever, right? Because again, they touch a shit ton of like fucking PC components when you've probably like touched like 3 in your life, like 3 GPUs in your fucking entire life. Like obviously you don't fucking know shit. So why are you gonna like trust yourself or your friend here? Like obviously Jawa, I'm pretty sure he knows his information from watching reviews. Because I mean he's not gonna be fucking touching like probably more than 30 GPUs in his whole life.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Oh, so you like touched like more than like how many GPUs in your whole life?
I built like hundreds of computers. Yeah.
Okay, and you've tested all of them? You ran them through like fucking like benchmarks? Okay, so where's your like review forum or?
This is for like personal business. I don't keep track of all these reviews. I make sure they're up to spec what they're supposed to meet, and then I sell them.
Okay, you control them in like a treated room with like you control like the temperature and check the. Huh?
People care about his games.
Oh, okay. So you don't actually review them or like test them out. Actually, you just kind of like check if they're working, and then you're like, okay, it's good enough, and you send them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's not the same thing, but
I understand the difference. I understand the difference of performance between a computer with a 4080 and a 12-core CPU versus something with like a 32-core CPU and a fucking 4060. I understand the fundamental difference between those two computers. In almost all situations,
I'd hope so.
you get better frames from that first computer. And you want to know what people care about? Fucking frames.
Well, that's what they think they care about because they don't understand what frames per second actually means. If you were to put two computers in front of them and be like, "Hey, this computer has 32 gigs of RAM and this computer has 64 gigs of RAM, but they're the same system, but you'd have to pay like I don't know, fucking what's like DDR5 going for like I don't know, like an extra $120 for the next computer or something." Yeah, we'll say like it's like high end RAM, it's $120. So like you want to pay $120 extra for like this system with like double the RAM or whatever. And like if you put them both in front of the computer and like allowed them play it, like on paper it's like, oh, like fucking systems that like software doesn't use like 64 gigabytes RAM. That's only for like video editing or like, you know, like something like or like whatever, right? And like, you know, that's what people think on paper. But if you actually put them in front of the systems, they're gonna realize like the quality of life improvements from just literally opening programs, like fucking like opening Windows, having like two like fucking a browser and a game open at the same time, and the like the lack of like stuttering or like having to wait for like something to open or close. Like just that quality of life improvement, people would definitely pay $120. It's just that they don't know the experience because they haven't like experienced it yet.
Here's a question: do you think a mom who uses Facebook and only Facebook needs 64 gigs of RAM?
No, that's where we're talking about people playing Star Citizen and Cyberpunk and like.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I don't really understand what the entire point of what you just said is, because you were talking about 32 versus 64, and you can just feel the difference, and everyone wants this difference. But like that 32 versus 64 is highly dependent on what you're doing with that RAM.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, with RAM, yes, I would say that if you're just browsing or whatever, then you can buy like a Chromebook or even an iPad. But like again, it's like for those people, it doesn't matter. For someone that's paying like $1,500 to like $2,000 for like, or actually no, like $1,000 to $1,500 for like a computer, like that's gonna be someone that cares about like 32, like that kind of like instance. But for someone that's like gonna just do things that you can buy for like a $250 computer, like that doesn't matter. But also, you're not gonna be like, hey, you want to like increase this computer by like $120 when it's like already like $300.
What's y'all talking about?
I heard bad recommendation for PC parts, so
Frame rate versus frame time, basically.
Oh, okay.
Like frame rate, it's just like frame rate is not a real number. Just like
that's just so not true. But okay.
Well, it's an approximation. It's an approximation of what you would get if the frame times were like set in stone. Were like exactly this many like milliseconds or whatever it is. So like, because frame rate, like if you were actually to like if the computer was to update what the actual frame rate was, the instance that like the frame time changed, you're like the fucking number would be like impossible to read, because it would go from 120 to 240 to fucking like 350, like back down to like 70 to 60 at one point, and this would be changing in like less than a second. It would like, again, it would change like fucking like what, like probably 100 times in like a single second, because of, again, like the frame time is not consistent. It's not going to be like 0.12.
If you're talking about frame rate or frame time, that 3080 is going to give you a better, or 4080 is going to give you better of both, right? And people would rather have better of both, right, than whatever marginal, back end system performance they're going to get from 4 extra cores, or whatever, twice as many cores when it comes to 12 versus 32 or 8 versus 32. Especially if we're talking about games. If you're talking about people that want to, I don't know, make CNC or CAD or something like that, sure, we can. It would be very dependent on like what they're doing, right? Like if they're like, and even in like CAD nowadays, you're gonna want GPU because of rendering and whatnot. But that's besides the point. I think the larger point is like the diminishing returns between a 3060 versus a 3080, or you get much more returns on jumping from 3060 to 3080 versus going from 12 core to 32 core. That's basically the overarching point that I'm trying to make. Right? Obviously, you'd rather have both, right? But if you can only choose one, right, always go for GPU, especially if you're focusing on games.
Yeah, sure. If you don't mind like the stutteriness or whatever, or if you're trying to play at like
Okay.
4 to 8K, then I maybe agree with you because like the amount of stuff the GPU has to draw at like 4K is like so insane that like, you know, both things wouldn't even be able to keep up with it. But then you'd also be playing at like a super low frame rate or it'd be like really stuttery. So it wouldn't make sense anyway. But like again, if you're playing at like 1440p, like Star Citizen, Cyberpunk, insert whatever AAA game with like that's been out in the last 2 years that definitely uses way more than 8 cores. Like it's like would you rather have like a lot of frames output but very inconsistent and like very stuttery and like noticing lag spikes and whatever, but hey, it looks like pretty? Or would you rather have like a very smooth experience, maybe not like super high frame rate, but like the frame times will be like very consistent? It's like the same thing with like capping your like playing a game at like or sorry, it's like the same thing with like OLEDs. Like OLEDs at 120 frames a second or hertz, I mean, versus like a VA panel from Samsung or a TN panel from like LG at like 240 or 360 hertz. The OLED panel, even though it's at a lower like refresh rate, feels smoother because of the response time. Because it's like instant or almost instant. It's like 0.1 millisecond like response times on OLEDs versus like they can only get down to like 2.4 like per response time on like anything that's not an OLED monitor.
You're right in the sense of when I know what you're saying when you say feels smoother, right? That's kind of a loaded phrase you just said because
Well, no, yeah. Well, when I mean feel smooth, I mean frame time,
right, because
and jitter.
Frame time is a direct proportional response to response time for the monitor, right? But OLEDs do better about that response time compensating. So yes, you are absolutely correct in this instance, right? But generally speaking, right, framed like so smoother, sure. What you want is this as low as response time as you can get, right? That for this is talking about like higher like flick based situations, right? But like FPS smoothness, like when okay, the smoothness you're talking about right there is when I put an input, the time it takes for my input to be registered, right, to the monitor, right? That smoothness is what you're talking about. But when we're talking about FPS smoothness, right? How smooth do the individual frames feel consecutively, right? That's more dependent by the GPU and the actual hertz of the monitor. The latency of the monitor that's going to be a more of marginal effect on that, right? But
Wait, you recognize like the GPU is the slave, right?
that's where latency really matters, right? But you want high hertz if you really care about like screen tearing and whatnot.
You recognize the GPU is the slave in like the CPU GPU relationship, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like the CPU.
Since the existence of because everything
like other
the GPU.
Yeah, like other than like PhysX and like now with like hardware acceleration or sorry GPU hardware acceleration.
And new stuff with raw. I don't know what the fancy name for it. But basically, when GPUs can now grab stuff from memory on their own, they don't need to go through the CPU.
Yeah, I don't know if that's integrated with. That's like that's like an Xbox technology.
Yeah, I don't know. That the thing is, consoles did that first, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's like a thing in consoles that like PC, they haven't really like ironed it out yet. But, like until that happens, like on PCs, like the GPU is like still a slave. It's like stupid, and like the CPU does everything. The CPU again calculates physics, tells the GPU what to draw, and the GPU is just sitting there waiting until the CPU tells it what to do. So like the GPU has nothing to do with the frame time, has nothing to like as so far as to like other than like how fast it can draw the image. But at the end of the day, like
right. This
is an extreme statement, but I'm gonna make it anyway. Like the CPU is always gonna be the bottleneck, pretty much all the time. In most situations.
That's not true because
you're assuming that most people even know how to program, like utilize whatever the CPU has now, because that's really just not the case. Like they just know how to make the graphics card work, and that's it.
And also, compute shaders just fly in the face of everything you're talking about.
Yep.
I get that, but it's just like in most real world instances, like everything seems to be the CPU is like just taking on most of the tasks, and like everything else is like taking a backseat to it. But like, yeah, I don't know. So I guess it would be what would you prefer? But I mean, it's like people cap frames sometimes to like take load um off of the like, well, it'd be both, but like off of the CPU, so it can like basically generate frames more consistently. Like, so for example, like um I don't know, I would say like 7 years ago ish, people would like like a lot of reviewers would be like, hey, you know, cap your fucking game like 45 frames per second if it's like a story based game or something. Like have like a more consistent experience in case it was like one of those like fucking, I don't know even know what game came out like 7 years ago that was like pushing hardware. 2023.
To be fair, some of the best games, you don't even need a good CPU. Come on.
Well, Arma is, you know, pretty not very
I don't know about that.
optimized. But Arma is very CPU intensive. Like it's like it barely even uses the GPU. It's like, oh, what the fuck is a GPU? A lot of games, like a lot of games that have like insane qualities about them. Like for example, any game with like really high player counts, like pushing like 100 or over. So for example, Squad Planetside, Arma as well. What other games have like games like that with like very high player counts? The thing that's going to basically bottleneck you will always be the CPU because of like basically the calculations of like all those people like and what they're doing, and it'll never be a GPU bottleneck because it's just so, for some reason it's just so intensive to be like, hey, like there's like these are where like all 100 people are and what they're looking at and the action they're doing.
Wow, because you could go get the most modern Battlefield, and then if most people, unless they had like a 4080, couldn't run that bitch on Ultra 4K. So by your logic, that I'm confused at what you're saying. You could theoretically, you're right. You need a certain CPU threshold to meet for all of these games, right? But once you meet the CPU threshold, right? What when it comes to how pretty shit it looks on your screen, none of that. Like you want that big beefy fucking GPU to spit out huge frame numbers. That's what you want.
Again, that's what I think. That's what I think people think they want or think the GPU does. But like it's like
that's its whole job. That's legit its whole
yeah, its job is to spit out frames. But again, it only spits out a frame when the CPU like gives it the information to do that. So it's all beholden on the CPU. And if
but
again, if you get a GPU, like I would rather have a more powerful CPU. Like I would rather like have like a way less powerful GPU than like a very powerful CPU. Because again, like I've had like 4 systems over my years, not that much. It's like basically nothing. Like only counting the ones I bought and built myself. But again, it's like it's just super annoying when you have like a really good GPU and like a mid-tier CPU, and like it's like, oh, it's like I'm getting like fucking 140 like to 200 frames a second, but it like every minute it like jitters or it like stutters or like something like that, or like I alt tab and it takes like a millisecond more to like go to like my browser or something. Like it's just like it's a quality of life thing that people don't know about because you can only do it like experience it by using a computer. So it's like I can't share that information. It's like that quality of thing where you have to experience it. But it is also measurable. It's just that people prefer to use frames per second because that's like the culture we have now, instead of using like the actual number, like the actual thing given to or measured by like fraps or whatever, which is the frame time, which is literally like how many milliseconds does it take to generate the next frame.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. It's like I would heavily argue for like response time and like consistency of like the system over like just spitting out like the most frames possible. But yeah, I don't know. Because like you mentioned capping frames, and the main reason why people cap frames is to make the experience like smoother. It's not like it's like usually people don't do it to like save like power or whatever. I guess they could if they're like care about their power bill, but at least here in Canada, like power is basically like free almost. Um, but usually people cap frame rates to like make the experience
Cringe,
like
Canada.
smoother. For real, I know. But usually people cap the frame rate to like make it smoother to take less stress off the CPU, so it can like give frames more consistently, even if it's like at 45 frames a second. Even like back in Battlefield 3 days, like people would cap the frame rate at like 30 frames a second, just because like the smoothness or the consistency of the game was a lot better than like running it at like the max performance with everything in cap, but like having it like just so inconsistent that it would jitter and stutter, and like you don't know if you're gonna like if you're about to shoot someone and then like your computer jitters at the last second and you just like basically can't like hit that shot or whatever.
I don't know. I basically I'm gonna have to start repeating myself, so I don't really know what else to say, man. So
You have to what?
start repeating myself because it seems I don't really even know what the points of the things you're saying are anymore. But I don't know, man.
Consistency, in my opinion, consistency better than just output of like the most frames possible, but inconsistent. I don't know, like yeah. I'd rather have a system with a lower latency feel than like a system with like higher frames but like higher latency as well.
I guess I'll reiterate what the big point that I was trying to make earlier. It's diminishing returns between CPUs and GPUs. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Well, yeah, but
Correct on latency, but like microscopic differences of back end latency versus huge differences of frame rates and a potential of higher resolutions on those frame rates. It seems like a no-brainer to me, but you can disagree.
well, it seems like you're looking at these things in isolation. So yeah, 4060
Because you can
versus a 4080, there's like a higher percentage of difference in like performance in like isolated if you take the best system like ever, like a 14900K S or whatever, or a Ryzen 5800 X3D, and like 128 gigabytes of RAM and like fucking Sabrent Rocket like 2 TB SSD, like basically give it all the bells and whistles, and then put like a fucking 4060 and a 4080 on the same motherboard, and then test it out, give it like the best possible like like opportunity to like perform its best, and like take those numbers. But like that's in isolation. But then when you look at the computer as a whole and you incorporate like, well, I'm not going to get a 14900 KS and play it with a 4060, because if you get a 1400 KS, obviously you'd want to probably get like at least a 4080, if not a 4090, because that's just like the best deal right now, in my opinion. But like, it's like once you have all these parts like together, and like you're trying to like match, you're like like try not to bottleneck things. Like at some point, there's obviously always going to be like a certain bottleneck, and like the bottleneck being the GPU is like much worse, because then yeah, you're like paid for that higher performance or whatever. But like since you're matching everything, you're not like playing it on like the highest like like the best CPU, so you're not going to get those like numbers that you saw in like a review or whatever. Those numbers are going to be much lower. So like at the end of the day, you're like buying something that's isolated, going to be like much better than this other product. But then when you're like basically like matching everything so that it's like around the same performance tier, because like you're not going to pay like infinite money for everything, and then you're going to like cheap out on a GPU or CPU or whatever. Like that's when the you know, like the return on investment or whatever of like the stuff you buy starts to like starts to like expose itself of like, oh, like maybe this wasn't the best option for this like part, or like, you know, like this GPU is really good, but the CPU can't keep up because like the games I play, like it keeps stuttering because like, oh, I want to watch YouTube on my second monitor while I'm like playing a game, and like it seems to like take away like resources because again, like fucking depending on the browser you use, but like most browsers are fucking retarded.
There's also random access memory, which is also a big deal when it comes to like doing a whole bunch of different functions at once.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
That's what I was saying.
They're out there.
The thing is, this whole thing started when I said that the most important things when I was building a computer would be GPU, then RAM, then CPU. That's how I would frame it. But
When you say RAM, do you mean quantity or like speed?
speed, specifically speed.
So would you rather have like a fuck? What are the speeds right now? It's like 4800, and you can get up to like a 5600 or something. Yeah. So would you rather get like 64 gigabytes of 4800 or like 32 gigabytes of 6400?
Once you cross the threshold, it really doesn't matter.
That's what I've
Like,
been trying to say. Exactly. Yep.
yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
So what's the threshold for RAM?
like 16, I would say.
It kind of depends on what you want to do.
So you think 16 gigabytes of RAM is enough
For
nowadays?
gaming? For gaming, yeah.
For anything
Yeah.
today, you think 16 is enough?
Yeah,
For gaming,
it is.
yeah.
You realize that Windows 10 does not function on 16 gigabytes of RAM, right?
Yes,
It'll
it
literally
does.
crash. No,
Are
it
you
doesn't.
crazy?
I'm on
It does
right
not.
now.
It does not. You know what it does? Your computer actually takes like first of all, it compresses like a lot of it. If you go into your like task manager, you can really see like how much is compressed for like whatever. Secondly, it does not it saves
So it
like
does
I think
then.
it's no. It doesn't run on it cannot run on 16 gigabytes of
Optimizes
RAM.
itself. You're just
No.
not saying it's optimized.
So you're not listening. So you don't even know what I'm gonna say.
I know how this
Okay,
works.
what does it do then? What does it do?
Leon just retarded. It's
What does
fine.
what-
Nolan. Let him be
I mean,
retarded.
I know he is, but what are you
Okay,
saying?
so where does
What
it store? Because it doesn't work on 16 right because it crashes. Because I've done this, I tested it out, right?
My
So
computer
where?
has not crashed once.
Yeah,
and
you know.
I
Do you
have
know why
16
it doesn't
gigabytes
crash?
of
Do you
RAM.
know why with like
Leon's
such
smoking
low like
crack right
rammage
now,
it like
bro.
doesn't
It's
crash?
fine.
Why?
Well, I'm asking you. Do you know why? Like, what process does it do? It like to like overload the RAM, like offload it.
I don't know.
I kind of already
don't do
gave you a
much
hint.
to offload it. What do you mean? I don't know what you're
Yeah, you
saying.
don't do anything. Windows does. Your operating system does.
And my operating system never crashed on 16.
I already gave you a
RAM.
hint by saying it offloads it. What is it? How does it like do in case like
4
you
gigabytes
use-
of RAM is the minimum that Microsoft recommends for running Windows 10. That's on their website. I don't.
Yeah, that's really cute. You believe that.
It's on
So
their
again-
website. It's literally on their fucking
It's
website.
Microsoft.
Oh, okay, yeah, because yeah, I
Microsoft's
know, yeah,
website.
exactly. Yeah.
What?
The
Yeah, because I'm
little-
gonna trust minimum requirements from like fucking like developers or whatever of like what I need to like run a
It's
fucking game
Microsoft.
It's
because they're never wrong about minimum requirements. You know what I'm saying? Like
what?
They made the OS.
Who am I
They
supposed to
made it
trust
to-
source wise? Them or just
again,
like you?
this is
Like,
this
what
is the
fuck?
minimum
Them,
amount.
obviously.
This is the minimum amount for
Okay.
it to be able to boot. But again,
What?
it cannot run. Windows cannot run on even like 16 gigabytes of RAM if you want to do anything with it. If you just want to have your like fucking like OS just running, like yeah, sure, you could just like fucking probably put in 4, not touch it at all, and it'll be fine with 4 gigabytes RAM. Actually, it won't be. It'll like use more, but you guys don't understand
What
like
even
what
is
it
this
does
conversation?
to be able to like offload all the memory it's about to use. So what happens when you only have 16 gigabytes of RAM, for example, it'll basically compress as much as it can. So you can check that in your task manager. Like a lot of that RAM, if you have like under 32 gigabytes, is compressed. And then, like secondly, when you're like doing stuff, opening programs, like just browsing or whatever, the excess amount of RAM, because it'll always like save a few gigabytes of RAM in your like it'll never use it 100% because again it'll crash if it does that. It'll offload it to your whatever like SSD or HDD you're using. It'll offload it. It'll set like a little like compartment for like all that extra data that like can't be contained basically in the RAM. So basically, you're using your SSD or your hard drive as RAM because you don't have enough memory to do it, or else Windows would like literally crash. If you want to test this out, you can open.
You're talking about virtual memory, and you can disable it on Windows and still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you have to actually enable it?
Yeah.
No, you have to disable it. It's enabled default.
And the thing is, it's the cool thing is what he's talking about is modern programming languages like C++ and Java actually have actual hooks into the operating system to leverage this. Because if you want to make a game that you need some stuff in slow memory, you can put it in virtual memory instead.
Yeah. So yeah, it's again, if you go into like your
tool, like what Doll was saying earlier, but I don't think you listened.
No, she didn't say that because I asked her what it is, and she's like, my computer does that already." And I asked her how does it do that, but she couldn't name it. That's fine. It's again, you want to play defense for her because she would like opened her mouth without knowing what the fuck she was talking about. It's all good. But again, yes, it is virtual memory. So if you want,
You just said
so again, mid doll. If you think I'm wrong, Mid-doll, if you think I'm wrong, okay, you can go into your virtual memory and disable that, okay, and then go play a game and watch like YouTube on a browser, okay, and then if it doesn't crash, you can say I told you so.
Open at the same time and play fucking like WoW and some other games. Like,
yeah, because it all gets like again, if it's way too much for your RAM, it gets offloaded into your like into your SSD.
It's a well-optimized operating
That's not what optimized mean. You're using that word you don't know what the fuck you mean. That's right? You dumbass fucking retard. No, that's not what optimization means. That's not what optimization means.
You fucking retard.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's literally just offloading memory. That's not optimizing.
I just explained. Okay, never mind, bro. It is a modern tool in modern operating systems because we have fast hard drives.
At this point, let's just take it.
It's always been a thing. Paging files has always been a thing. It's not just because we have like fast hard drives.
Hold on, everybody, hold on. This conversation is starting to get a little bit out of control, so we're gonna go ahead and move it over to the debate stage at this point.
Lamau.
To continue to be able to communicate with this conversation with Nia.
I do.
Okay.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, you guys really want to?
Yeah, me too.
And send you guys some invites. Who? All right.
Invites to what?
Java, I feel like you should open your mouth more.
There's a live debate stage.
Because, oh my god, you need to make him look stupid because he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about, and he always does this. I don't know why he knows.
I see it.
I do it. Yeah, shut the fuck up, retard. Every time we piss you off, you have to leave this fucking server because you're so insecure, and you've like always open your mouth, say the fucking most retarded thing, and when two people call you out on it, you dip out of the server.
He's just
it's not an ad-hom. It's literally what happened, but it's all good. You can die all you want.
What the fuck? You're gonna
you can die all you want. You can die all you want, but everyone knows that you fucking leave the server every time like two or more people disagree with like the most retarded thing you've ever said, and then fucking you're like, oh, I can't take it anymore. You fucking dip out. Like, you get shut down every fucking time. And it's never not different.
Anything. What does this have?
What it has to do is I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna start saying things, and then I'm gonna like back it up with information from like other sites. And you guys are like, oh, well, I guess he's right.
Bro,
and then you're gonna shut down. And you're gonna shut down and leave and pretend it never happened. And you're gonna like try and come back another day.
What we're talking about is like fact. That's
I'm just calling it out.
Virtual memory is.
I'm just calling it out. So when it happens and you come back, I'm just gonna say I told you so. So.
Okay, congratulations.
So I can rub it in your face again.
I took the L. I took the epic L, epic W for Neon. I guess.
Okay, however you need to cope. Look, I'm just calling it out because you're predictable as fuck. I'm just saying it like.
Okay.
In the
this
future,
has nothing to do with the point that we were fucking talking about. Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
Bro, why, dude? This is like so much.
Because a lot of people can't get in here. We're gonna start limiting things where it makes people have to go to the stream page instead of being in the room. Better control of the conversations, all types of shit like that. All right.
The only thing I don't like about this is that people tune in and
all right, on stage. We need to get Java in here.
Well, eventually we're gonna kick people out of audience. And they'll go to kick to watch, and they can come in to the stage to speak only eventually.
I see. Yeah, join in here to request, and then get. That's a good idea. All right, fair enough.
Okay.
All right. I just want to start off saying to Neon, right? The definition of what software optimization is modifying a software system for more efficiency, performance, and security, and that's what virtual memory is and does.
Right. Okay,
so,
and before Sinister fully begins, I'm going to go ahead and share the kick link for everybody. We are going to kick those who don't wish to speak out of the room. If you wish to watch the conversation, you can go watch it on the kick stream. So this is going to be the last opportunity to request to speak and be part of the conversation.
Jawa, you should get in here. You know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. You need a 3v1 me because you're too scared. I got you.
No, he's the most educated person.
Oh, well, exactly. You don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. I know. I understand. You don't know what you're talking about, so you need
Was
Jawa
anything I said just before wrong? You were saying virtual memory is not computer software optimization. You were saying that. Even though
it is technically a memory management technique, so.
So you agree?
No, I disagree. It's not optimization.
Okay. Even though it helps like the operating system handle memory better?
Well, then by that definition, every system in a computer is optimization. The kernel is optimization. They're reductive absurding everything.
It's software that's been
yeah, exactly.
It's unfortunate that the Java's not here. Like, I'm not an expert on software.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking of Sorry. Just admit it then.
No, but
you read one thing and we're like, oh, this is it.
And me and him obviously have like the same ideas about things. I don't know why he did.
Well, if you have the same idea.
There's also better GPU drivers, and they're constantly worked on and constantly optimized.
Okay, so all drivers on a computer are optimizations, right?
You can have an operating system without virtual memory. Remember, we had the discussion about it being turned off and on. Like, it was made for optimization.
No, it was, again, it's not made for optimization because it's on by default, because it's a requirement to have, because most people's systems do not have more than 16 gigabytes of RAM. And again, because I did this, because I have a 16 gigabyte RAM computer. I've had other computers with varying degrees of RAM, 8 gigabytes, 32. If you turn off virtual memory and you play a game and have YouTube or whatever, your computer will blue screen. If you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, it will, because you're again, it's not gonna Windows cannot function on less than on 16 gigabytes of RAM basically, because again, the majority of it is being compressed. It's already putting things into the paging file, which is the virtual memory, and then also after that, if you try and do anything, again, it's going to be way too much memory and it'll just eventually crash.
Why did you?
And you can do this right now.
Windows, the minimum requirements for Windows, it was 4 gigabytes or something like that.
For the operating system alone. So are you just gonna install Windows and just let it sit on your computer and do nothing with it? Is that your plan?
I don't even know what the argument is anymore.
I know. I lost the plot.
Yeah, because you guys are retarded and have nothing without Jawa.
Right,
Jawa was literally your crutch, and now without him, you guys are lost and clueless.
I joined when you were saying this stuff about virtual memory not being
an optimization. Yeah.
Yeah, which
that's not, because that's
fucking is.
It's a dumb definition, because by your definition and what you just
virtual memory works through
everything is an optimization.
Known as swapping that combines RAM with space on the hard disk. On a PC, RAM is the blah blah blah. I'm just reading this. This is from fucking.
Yeah.
Virtual memory is a feature of an operating system that uses hardware and software to compensate for shortages of physical memory. It transfers pages of data with random access memory to disk storage. Microsoft compares this process to how a movie ticket serves as a controlling agent between the demand and the seats in a theater. It is a process that is available on only certain operating. So it is optimization. I don't know what the fuck.
Again, so there is specifically, are we talking about software optimization?
Virtual memory is a technique used by operating system to manage memory resources and optimize performance. This is I don't know why you want to say that it's not. That's the
Because
my
it's
only
not an
reason for being
optimization.
here.
Because
Okay,
it's
but the
not.
people who
it's-
developed it are saying that it is. So I don't
No,
know
they're not.
who to
You link
trust.
your
Do I trust
source.
Microsoft or?
All right, link your source.
Okay, I fucking will.
Because obviously you're reading it wrong. But again, it's like if you're saying just because it helps the computer not crash means it's an optimization is like the dumbest thing ever. Because then every driver is an optimization, the GUI is an optimization, the kernel is an optimization, the like everything in the computer is an optimization at that point. So what does it even mean? You're like reductive absurdum, like the definition.
Well, all
When optimization
is
in, like-
optimized. All software is optimized. All software has tons of, even like down into like the code, like the specific way. Like I don't.
Okay, so then optimization
80% of programming is debugging, and that
and
in itself
optimizing,
is,
yes.
yes, okay.
But the game,
But
when a
it's a
game is just
specific
running
technique
or a
that it
software is just
uses
running,
to-
it's not optimizing. When a system
It
is just
is.
running, it's you optimize it to the extent to whatever like performance tier you're satisfied with, and at that point, it's optimized. But the software isn't like optimized. It's not like optimizing. It's not doing anything. It's just running as intended. Optimizing is the thing that you do as the developer to basically make like cut down like the amount of information or like add information for it to run at like a specific like at the performance you want or at the like size
Isn't
you
that
want.
the whole point that these things exist, is to do that very thing?
No, the point of why this exists is so your computer doesn't crash because it has like too little RAM.
Yes, and that's called optimization. That's
No,
the whole
that's
point.
called-
that's
that is
the
not
whole
called
point. So
optimization.
it works. So
That's
the
a
software
fail-safe.
works.
No, that's a fail safe. It's not optimization.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah, you don't because you don't understand what optimization is. Again, where did you post your source? In general?
realize
I'm gonna do the thing that you did. Remember when I asked you for information?
Well, I'm looking at the definition right now, and it doesn't say what you're saying. So either you're
Well,
just
is it
making
just
up bullshit.
optimization or software optimization?
Program optimization,
which all of them do.
which
like
same thing, huh?
every single thing on the computer optimizes. Like I don't know what you're trying to prove here. Especially
No,
with the
it doesn't
CPU that you're
because
talking about.
optimize. Okay, so again, I will read the definition because unless you want to give me something else, I'm looking
Okay.
at all these definitions and
In
they're based
computer
on what
science,
I'm
program
saying.
optimization, code optimization of software optimization is the process of modifying a software system to make some aspect work more efficiently or use for fewer resources. If you look at what virtual memory actually is and how it is,
Yeah, you said
explained-
modifying. You said modifying, right?
Okay, but if you
It's not
look-
modifying anything. Virtual memory is not modifying anything.
Bruh, let him finish. Oh my god.
That's fine, but it's still not modifying anything. The modifying is the person programming. It's not the system itself. The system is doing as the person like modified it to do. Modifying means like when you're reading that, when you read the word modifying, it's the person doing it to the software.
Yeah, human beings created all software. What
Exactly. But when you're done like modifying and optimizing a program, then the program just runs as is, as you like made it out to be. And then at that point, the software is not modifying anything or optimizing anything unless it's like a program like CC Cleaner or some bullshit like that, where like the whole purpose is to like cut down on like bloat on your computer, whatever the fuck. Like that is a optimizing software, but it's made to like do
Wait,
something
so
to
are you
unbloat your
saying-
computer.
Are you saying when something that first started out as an optimization, so it's no longer an optimization if it's a part of the package? Is that what you're saying?
It
It's
was never an
just
optimization.
software?
It was never intended to be an optimization.
Then why is the whole purpose of it for like better memory management? That like
It's not
efficient
better memory management. It's a
yeah.
fail safe. It's a oh, we don't have enough of the good memory because there's only 16 gigabytes of it. We're gonna offload it to your slower SSD so that the computer doesn't blue screen because there's too much memory to handle. That's what it's for.
So it's a helping hand to make the software work.
Yeah, so it doesn't crash.
That sounds like optimization. I don't.
No, it doesn't. Because again, you read your definition. I'm not even going to use mine yet, but your definition is like modifying
the whole problem.
the software. The modifying the software is the person
The
programming
whole
the
problem
software.
is about resources, right? Windows 10 not having enough resources, and so if you don't have enough RAM, it needs to use virtual memory stuff, right? Because you don't have enough resources.
Your hard drive or SSD, yes.
Okay, that is the whole point. So you optimize it to make it work on a system that has lower resources.
Yes,
That's optimization.
Yes, the person coding. Yes, he is optimizing. The software is not.
What the fuck?
That's not how it works.
It literally is. That's the definition she literally read.
Not.
And again, I can read this from Wikipedia. We'll just take Wikipedia as the first source if we disagree. All right.
Read it.
It is rare for the process optimizer to produce a truly optimal system. A system can really be made optimal, not in absolute terms, but only with respect to given quality metric, which may be in contrast with other possible metrics as well. The optimized system will typically only be optimal in one application for one audience. One might reduce the amount of time that a program takes to perform some task at the price of making consume more memory in an application where memory space is at a premium. One might deliberately choose a slower algorithm in order to use less memory. Often there is no one-size-fits-all design, which works well in all cases. So engineers make trade-offs to optimize to the attributes of greatest interest. So again, it's all talking about.
No,
it is. Wait, hold on. Okay,
link it.
I'll put it in general because we can't use this side chat because TechW is retarded. But again, it's all talking from the perspective of the coder. It's not like optimization is a thing that the thing does.
Chat now.
Oh, okay. Well, I put it in general chat. So, but again, it's like all
crazy. If it's
all
something
talking
that was
about
made to improve performance, then it's optimization. Like that, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's
the person
insane that you're disagreeing with that.
The person, not the software. You're trying to conflate the person with the software. You're just saying because the software does this thing that doesn't allow the computer to crash means that it's optimizing. Well, by that fucking dumbass
because
definition,
the person developed the fucking thing. It's
the person isn't the thing. The person isn't the thing.
I think we're on completely different wavelengths.
Yeah, because you're fucking stupid. You're reading a fucking definition.
Leon,
I am using your definition. I'm using my fucking Wikipedia definition. They both mean the same thing. When you're saying modifying, when it says optimizing, it's talking from the perspective of the coder, of the developer, not from the perspective of the software.
It works.
That's okay, unless you can find another definition.
Well, what even is the point? Every software thing is fucking made by a human being. If something is made, right?
Yeah.
They made fucking, oh my god, memory virtualization was made by a person. It was developed by a fucking programmer.
Yes.
For the purpose of fucking optimization.
No.
What the fuck? And look up what virtual memory actually does. Look it up.
I did.
Okay. And it's used, right, so that if you don't have enough, right, RAM, that Windows 10 can still run perfectly fine without crashing, right? That's the whole fucking point of it, right? Apparently, or just for other processes and stuff to help with just performance in general. Is that not the fucking case?
Yeah, the case is because you're not going to have enough RAM so that the computer doesn't crash. It uses your fucking HDD or SSD.
Okay, then it's optimization. A person developed that so your fucking computer doesn't crash. That's optimization.
Okay, how is it optimization?
Oh my god. I give up. You're right.
Yeah, you do give up because you think a failsafe is optimization.
You're right. I give up.
Yeah, you're retarded. Yeah, I know you're fucking wrong.
You're retarded, Neon.
This fucking dude is fucking absolutely fucking autistic.
You're the one that thinks that
I'm the one retarded. Nice phrasing. Okay.
Or some bullshit, and it's
I understand you. You're not in touch with fucking games and games that require fucking a good PC to play.
Citizen, who the fuck cares?
Oh man, I can't afford a game. I can't afford the best space sim. All right, I get it. You're gonna cry because you can't afford it because you can't play a game. $1 million. Who pays $1 million for Far Star Citizen? What are you talking about?
That's how much it costs to develop that dumbass scam.
A lot of games cost more than millions of dollars. What are you talking about?
Not 100 million. Not nowadays.
Oh, 100 million. Yeah, but again, what's a better space sim than Star Citizen? I'll wait.
Probably every other one because that's a scam.
Just name one. Just name one. Is Starfield better than Star Citizen?
I don't play Space Sims. So I
Is-
don't-
Oh,
this
okay,
how
so
the
you know what
whole
you're talking
argument
about. All right,
started?
cool. It's good to know, mid doll, that you just fucking speak out of your ass and you have no idea what the fuck you're talking
speak out of
about.
your ass all
You
the
just
time,
said
Neon.
Star Citizen is worse than every other Space Sim.
It's
You think
just a
Star Citizen
scam.
is worse than
Just said it's a
Starfield?
scam.
Mm.
You can read whatever fucking like newsletter or whatever you're subscribed to. That's like hating.
I just know.
that-
I literally.
You don't know anything. You've never played the game. You don't know anything about Space Sims, so you
It's
don't know what you're talking about.
it's
You
a
literally admitted you don't know
Kickstarter
anything about what you're talking about.
It's a Kickstarter game. Like it had
Every game, there's a
million
lot of
players.
games in early access. Like, are you
Okay, but
anti-early
it's-
access?
But they spent $100 million apparently to
So
launch
it's the
this
best
game.
Space Sim out there.
12 years. It's a
It is
it's
the-
trash. I'm sorry.
It's the best. First of all, Cyberpunk took 10 years to develop, and now it's like
It's
after like a
trash.
DLC. It's not. It got
It
fucking
was
game
trash
like
when it came
what do you-
out.
That's fine, but they fixed it, and now it's like good, and everyone's like
No,
praising
it's
it.
not. It's still
Yes.
mid.
Okay, then you're just disconnected from the gaming community. Then.
I don't fucking care. Like
Okay, then just say that instead of fucking being retarded and just like spouting your fucking bullshit opinion based off of
you're
nothing.
saying, you don't even know what optimization is. You said
Yes, I
that
do.
we're
Yes, I do. You guys aren't even. You guys are giving the
Windows 7.
definition. You're giving the definition that agrees
You
with my
said that
point of view.
Windows 7,
But you keep
Windows
saying, "Oh no, that's not what it
10
is." So either
run on
decide.
or 16 gigabytes of RAM, or even 4. Like you're retarded.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but again, you're still objectively wrong.
Because
Again,
because that's what you said.
Windows will crash on 16GB RAM if you try and use it. That's just a fact. You can do that right yourself. Turn off virtual memory, play a game, it will crash eventually. In like fucking like 10 to 20 minutes in your game,
For
it'll
you,
just
because you're
crash.
probably
No,
suck at with
it's-
computers, because that's not a problem.
Because I
for
suck
me.
at. You don't even know what virtual memory is until we told
I
you. Until
obviously
me
literally
and
told
fucking
you what it was. Like
No, you
in the
didn't.
other
That was
chat.
fucking
Yes, I
Sinister,
did.
and it was fucking Jawa. I asked you what it was, and you had no idea. You said, "Oh,
That's
my
not
computer
the
optimized
thing.
it."
And then
alright?
maybe you can actually understand what we're talking about. You know.
Well, I'm never gonna understand what you're talking about because you just speak out of your ass because
you
you don't know
speak
anything.
out of your ass. You're the one that doesn't know
Oh,
what
nice. No,
optimization
you.
is.
I do. I literally fucking
No,
read the
you don't.
definition. Sinister
You think
agreed with my
Star Citizen is the
definition.
peak of
Sinister
gaming
agreed
or
with my
some bullshit,
definition.
and it's like,
Again, Jawa King
You're
would
not in
have agreed if he
reality,
was
I'm
in
sorry.
here. But notice how Jawa didn't come in because he didn't want to be embarrassed in this debate. Because he knows that,
No,
again,
what?
even
You're
Jawa,
being
I was
retarded.
being very mean to him, but he still was like man enough to agree with some
you're
of my
just
points
showing
that
everybody
were
how
true.
retarded you are. I don't know.
I mean,
What are
again,
you
you're just
trying to prove
objectively
here?
wrong. Sinister agrees with my
wrong about you
definition.
being retarded?
I agreed. I showed my definition. She agreed with it. We both agreed. They were from the perspective of the person coding, and then she had to make some fucking retarded ass fucking like again. And notice how she left the fucking call because she couldn't understand like take it. And I called it out like way beforehand, right? Remember that. But again,
Because
like,
you won't listen. You're hard headed.
I do listen.
You wanna
I do
pretend- you
listen.
wanna be
I do
right
listen.
about
I heard you say
what
that fucking
the
you don't
system
know anything about
optimizes
Star.
itself.
Wait, you said you don't know anything about Star
literally-
Sims, right?
You literally.
Didn't you say that?
Why do you keep changing the subject? Because
No,
you're
you
wrong?
said I don't listen, right? So again, you
don't
attacked me by
listen.
saying
We
okay.
we're not talking
So
about
didn't
Star
you
Citizen.
say?
We're talking about optimization.
No, we did
now.
talk about it, but you don't remember that. But didn't you say you don't know anything about Star
let's
Sims?
talk about Scam Citizen. What do you want to talk about?
No, I just asked you a question. Didn't you say that you know nothing about Space Sims?
No, I didn't.
You didn't say that.
Nope.
Okay, all right. So we're just lying right now. Okay, cool.
I mean, you're just delusional. I don't know what to
All right,
tell
cool.
you.
You're just lying. All right, cool. Who's listening to this right now? Is like, oh,
wanna
Candid
see
camera.
how much-
Yes, this is being recorded. Oh my fucking
Oh,
god,
yeah.
bro! Holy shit!
You didn't know
I can't
that?
believe it. You lied on a fucking stream, bro.
No,
I am
I
so
didn't.
fucking grateful. Thank you, Tech W, bro. I just caught this fucking whore fucking lying, like just
Bruh.
fucking
You're
red-handed,
so
dude, on
retarded.
4K. I am so thankful you, Tech W. Just remember this timestamp and go back to the go back in the VOD. And I'm just gonna remind myself in future time to
Are
find
you
the
okay?
part
You're
where
like
she said she didn't know
schizo-posting right
anything
now.
about Space Sim. No, I'm talking to the
Are
stream,
you
so I remember
okay?
what to find.
Literally,
but
there's nobody
you're
on
obviously-
stream anyway. So
Yeah, I'm
it's like,
talking
are you
to
okay?
myself and Tech W, so that when I watch this part, I know to go back, find the part where you said I know nothing about Space Sims, and then replay that to you, and then watch your
That's what
fucking
you
dumbass
said.
reaction. No, I
I
know
said
that.
I don't give a fuck about what
Okay,
you
so
think
what
I know
happens-
about Space Sims. That's
Okay,
what
so
I
what
said.
happens if I grab the clip and show you the part of you saying I don't know anything about Space
Why does
Sims?
it even matter if when I?
Well,
when
because you're
it's
denying
a
it, right?
scam?
You're saying it didn't happen, but I'm saying it has happened. So
I'm
what are
just
you gonna
saying
do?
it's a scam.
So what are you gonna do when I grab that clip and show you that you did say that? Like, if it is real,
Nothing,
like,
because you like Scam Citizen. It's like that's already an L for you.
okay, yeah, of course, from the person that doesn't know anything about like Space Sims.
Who
Cool, that's
fucking
cute.
cares? It's a
Well, you
dumbass
care because you're
genre.
arguing here about it and you're losing the argument.
What argument? You being
The
retarded?
debate. First of all, the thing about virtual memory, the thing about optimization, the thing about the computer crashing, the thing about the CPU being the most important thing, the thing about the GPU is not based off of frame
running
times.
around points like you're losing. I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry.
I mean, again, that's your retarded opinion, but it's being streamed. So again, like we're gonna replay this, and everyone's gonna laugh at you for how stupid your opinion is.
Literally, just stick to one point. This is why nobody likes you. I'm sorry.
Actually, a lot of people like me. It's just people that are wrong all the time. Yes, they do.
Literally, everybody was on your ass the other day. That VC,
what day?
About everybody likes you. Who?
What do you mean everybody? It was like fucking 7 people in that like 20-person VC.
7 people.
Yeah.
7 people.
Are you unable to count? So if I name like 5 people that like me in that VC,
retarded.
Are you gonna backtrack or
You're
what?
so delusional. Like,
oh man,
I can't believe you exist.
Heck, who is this like mid-doll person? Like whose friend is this?
And who are you? Who the fuck are you?
Oh, you're Queen's friend? Wait, you're one of the people that complains about me hanging out with her.
I
Aren't
don't
you?
fucking care. Like, are you now? You're going schizo.
Dude, you are one of the people.
I don't even know you, bro. Like,
damn.
I don't know you enough to talk about.
That is so sad. You fucking like go. Why do you complain to people about? Oh, you know
the audience. I'm not sure exactly how it relates to the debate. But we
It
did have
doesn't.
somebody ask if you need virtual RAM, then why do phones not utilize virtual RAM?
Do phones?
Not
Answer that,
utilize
Neon,
virtual
since you're so
RAM.
smart.
What are you talking about? Phones?
I don't know. Somebody said something about if you need virtual RAM.
Well, it's virtual memory technically, not virtual RAM. So unless the person doesn't know what we're talking about, we're talking about virtual memory, not virtual RAM.
Yeah, we got a question from Audio Freak. That was their question.
Oh, all right, nice one, making a fool of yourself, Audio Freak. But yeah, we're talking about virtual memory, not virtual RAM. All right, so next
This
time, pay
cult
attention.
is so insane.
Yeah, wait, Mid-Doll, what's the difference between virtual RAM and virtual memory?
You're the one that's supposed to answer the question.
Oh, look at that. Well, that's my question to you. So.
Did you not just try to answer it?
No, that was the question I was answering was why don't phones
virtual RAM?
Oh my god, you're so
memory.
retarded.
No, it's not.
Yeah, this is why nobody likes Neon.
Well, actually, a lot of people like me, including your friend
like
Queen.
him,
So, you know.
You're like the only one, Tick. I'm so sorry.
And Queen, your friend. Wait, Mid-Doll, are you friends with Queen or what?
Not really.
Oh, okay. You just have her on your friends list because.
Because I know her and talk to her in BC sometimes. Like,
okay, well, she's another person that likes me. So there you go.
now you're schizo posting about me.
She's actually one of Victory Doll's.
Oh, she's Victory Doll's friends, dude. That makes a lot more sense, actually.
How?
You must be the biggest fucking airhead ever, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's in the Covenant.
Are you also like a bimbo person? Like you identify as a bimbo?
No, not really.
No, so you just
So
accidentally
is he just?
won?
Are you schizo posting now? Okay, let's go. What do you want? What do we want to know?
Well, I'm just again like you seem to be very just bimbo brained accidentally, I guess, not on purpose.
Oh shit!
You seem more himbo brained than me, since you don't know that Windows can run on 16 gigabytes of RAM.
I'm pretty sure Jerry just came in with an answer for our viewer question that virtual memory is not RAM, but a memory management technique used by operating systems. So
Yeah,
it does seem like.
but Mid-Doll would disagree or not even know what the fuck that is. So
I already knew what that is. You just wouldn't
no.
You
No,
just
I
didn't
literally
know.
asked you
just
again.
didn't
Wait.
ask me because you
The
didn't.
candid
you couldn't
camera was in
answer
the whole
it.
time,
You couldn't
right?
answer it yourself.
Yeah,
so, you
so I
tried to
asked
me.
you the question
You're
of what
retarded.
virtual memory was, and or no, sorry, I asked you
No.
what the process
Audio
was
asked you
for
what
what
virtual
happens when
memory
your
was.
RAM is
And then you tried to
overloaded,
ask me.
and then you're like,
And then you
well,
tried to
I don't
ask
know,
me.
your
And then
computer
you
like
tried to ask me.
optimizes
And then
it,
you tried to ask
and
me
then
for the answer.
Jawa King
And then you
stepped
tried to
in
ask me for
and
the answer.
told us
And you tried to
about
ask me for
virtual
the
memory,
answer.
which was correct. And
you
then
tried
you were
to ask me
like,
for the
oh
answer.
well, yeah, it's what like Jawa King said. It was like that's what is his answer.
So now
So
you're
again,
schizo posting.
you avoided the question and let everyone else answer for you,
You
and
avoided the
pretended like that
question.
was your question.
That wasn't even my question. What are you talking about?
Again, I don't know what you were schizo ranting about while I was
You're
giving an explanation to your
schizo-ranting.
previous
You're
question.
the one schizo-ranting.
But like, I gave you the answer. It's on you to listen or not. But again, you're making a fool of yourself. Tech, she said something
What is
super
this
fucking
called?
retarded, which
Do you
I
even
think
have a
it was
job?
like she like denied the fact that she said something very specific, which is I have no idea about like space sims. And
my
like
God,
again,
this is
she's like being a little bitch and being like, she left.
So, okay, all right. Well, I guess that concludes that debate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in there and harass her some more.
Oh God, goodbye.